Hello and welcome back to a new video and an all new course in reasoning. Today's agenda is to work with a particular case and try and figure the nitty-gritties out, and we will repeat this process over and over again, set after set, till we achieve mastery in this particular subject. The challenge in any of these cases is that you don't have a theory to work with. The ideas, the logic, the direction of analysis will all be provided by the question set, the data, the caselet itself. So it's paramount that you read it well and try and make deductions from it and know that the data is there, the answer lies within that data. No external information, no grand theory, no shortcut is needed. You just have to analyze the information carefully, start playing with it, because in the beginning you might not see the logic immediately. Start playing with it, persist with it, think systematically, organize your data, and of course patience and confidence will be a factor in doing any such problem, especially in the exam scenario. But for now we just want to take as much time as needed and try and understand these games and play them well at least once or twice, so that I know, even though the question looks very difficult and vague on the surface, after 2 to 3 minutes of thinking I start seeing some pathways and breakthroughs and I have an approach going in most cases, right? So we want to build that confidence also, slowly, step by step, coming to that point where I look at a set and I know that yes, initially it gives me a very difficult vibe, it looks very vague, but if I start reading it carefully, systematically, in an organized manner, I will see the logic involved and the question will be fairly easy for me. So this will be our underlying theme across whatever we'll do in logic, that there is no shortcut, no method. I just have to read the data carefully and do my work here, right? So let's start with a very famous, very popular case. It's known as the knockout tournament story. Try out the questions below and then join the discussion. So I hope you tried the set out, you read the story a couple of times at least, tried playing with it, maybe persisted with it for a few minutes, even though initially it might seem overwhelming if you're not aware of the nitty-gritties here. But as we try it out, you will see that we are just reading the story and the logic of the story of what I need to do will appear from that playing and applying those small ideas, right? So let's see what the story says. It says the Wimbledon Grand Slam is a 128 player knockout tournament. Okay, so there are 128 players in the story, and it also says it's a knockout tournament. In the next 2-3 lines, the definition of the knockout tournament is given. But all of us know what a knockout tournament means, where the losing player is eliminated and the winner goes to the next round. And it says, thus various rounds are conducted till there is just one winner left. I will read the questions later, I will figure out the rest of the story later. Let me start playing with this information that there are 128 players in a story and eventually I want one winner. How many matches will be required or how many rounds will be there? So let me try and organize that information. Okay, let me start with round 1. For round 1, the input is 128 players. I have 128 players. How many matches will I need? So after maybe 10 seconds of thinking, you will figure out that 64 matches are needed in round 1. Because in one match, you can accommodate 2 players. So these 128 players will be divided into 64 matches. Out of these 64 matches, you will get 64 winners who will proceed to the next round. That means for round 2, your input or the number of players available is 64. For these 64 people, you will need 32 matches. And then I hope you can follow the story. It's going to be very easy. These 32 matches will give you 32 players for the next round and they will require 16 matches. Now I can just notice the maths and stretch the story. 16, 8, 4, 2 and finally 1. Just to be even more detailed, these 16 matches will give you 16 players for the round 4. These 8 matches will give you 8 players for the round 5, which can be accommodated in 4 matches. These 4 matches will give you 4 players. These 2 matches will give you 2 players. And these last 2 rounds, this is obviously the final and this is the semi-final, and you can call this the quarter-final if you want to, maybe, right? The last 3 rounds are respectively called the quarter-finals, the semi-finals and the finals. So I'm already done with the basic part of the story, and actually the first 3 questions I would call them very easy, because it's not too much of a challenge in doing this. The question is, what is the number of rounds held? So I can see the number of rounds held is 7. So my answer is going to be 7, which is option B. Question 2 said, how many matches will be played in all? I can add this up, 64 plus 32 plus 16 plus this plus this plus this, etc. And I will come to the answer 127. Or I can take a logical shortcut, which is most people are aware of this. Most people are aware of this, that if you're looking at one final winner eventually, that means you're looking at 127 losers or 127 people who will be eliminated in the story. To eliminate a person, one match is required. How can you eliminate someone without a match? That means to eliminate 127 players, you will need 127 matches. So even this part is fairly straightforward. The next question, just before the start of the 5th round. So this is the 5th round. Before the start of the 5th round, how many players do I have? 8 players. These 8 players are entering round 5, playing 4 matches. So the question was, just before the start of the 5th round, how many players are still in contention? 8 players are still in contention. So that would be option C. So this was definitely the easy part. And you will notice this a lot. Maybe the set overall might be difficult, but there might be a sitter or two sitting somewhere. By a sitter, I mean a very easy question like this that you can figure out in no time. So just because the overall set might be scary to you, do read it once quickly. So maybe you can find such an easy question and get some easy marks for yourself. But that's not our primary agenda. Our primary agenda is to work out the logic and figure out how these things work, right? So this is the first part. Now let's look at the second part. Okay, so I hope that first part made sense to you. Now going towards the second part, which is the juicier part, leaves a lot of people stumped and is reasonably challenging if you're looking at this kind of a problem for the very first time. But you will see, we'll go step by step as we read the story, as we go through the details of the story, the logic, the direction that we need to take will appear to us, right? So let's go step by step and go through the details. It says that each of the player is given a distinct seed number from 1 to 128. So every player is given a rank. Somebody is rank 1, somebody is rank 128, somebody is rank 23, and so on and so forth. Now the seed simply means the rank. The 1 is the highest and 128 is the lowest. So 1 is the best player in the tournament and 128 is the worst player in the tournament. And now the story goes, in round 1, the first seeded player plays 128th seeded player, and this is called match 1. So I'm assuming you have read the next couple of lines too. In match 1, in round 1, player number 1 will play player number 128. I extend the story. In match 2, player number 2 will play player number 127. I extend the story. Player number 3 will play player number 126. Counting this was very, very easy. 1 plays 128. This was given in the question. I think match 3 is also given. Let me go for match 4. Player number 4 will play against player number 125. And this story will go on till match number 64 somewhere in the story. In match number 64, player number 64 will play against someone. I know in round 1 there were overall 64 matches. Something that I figured out earlier. So how do I figure out this number? I observe the story again. If I look at any of the pairs, the sum is always 129. So maybe I put that 129 somewhere, that the sum of the seed numbers for any of the matches is always 129. So if I want to figure out who's playing against 64, my answer would be 65, because what plus 64 gives you 129, 65 gives you 129. So I can also figure out maybe some match in between. So I say, okay, match 23, what's going to happen? The player number 23 will play against player number 106. How did I come to this quickly? Because I know the sum has to be 129. So guessing this number was very, very easy for me. And then the same story continues in the next round. The only difference is now the winner of match 1 will play the winner of match 64. So say 1 and 64 won, assuming that better players won. In match 1 of round 2, I will have 1 playing against 64. In match 2 of round 2, say 2 wins from here, and match 2 will be against match 63. If I notice here, once again I will notice the sum of the matches this time is 65. Match 1 and 64 is 65. 2 and 63, 65. So if I quickly want to figure out who will match 2 winner will be paired against, I can do that using this particular sum. So match number 63 will be between player number 63 and I want a sum of 129, so it must be 66, right? And say 63 won from here, so 2 will play against 63. So this story will continue. Match 3 winner say is 3. I'm assuming and building this table for the higher players winning. Later when the question needs me to throw in an upset, I'll do that. But as of now, I'm just trying to figure out the basic framework of the story. And if you observe, I've already got a couple of starting points that if I want to figure out this pairing, I can do it faster now because I know the sum is 129. And the same story is working here, and instead of working through the details here, I observe the sum in this story is 65. 1 and 64, 65. 2 and 63, the sum is 65. So 3 will play against 62. And I know in round 2 there are 32 matches. These 64 players will go here. 1 to 64 I'm assuming will make it to the next round. Assuming that every higher seeded player won against their lower seeded counterpart. So 1 to 64 will be here, and this story will continue and say match number 32 somewhere, right? In match number 32 in round 2, I will have 32 playing against, I want a sum of 65, so player number 33, right? So from match number 1 to match number 32 for round 2, and I can build the same story for round 3. In round 3, players number 1 to 32 will proceed to round 3, assuming that there are no upsets. Later, part of the story is that an upset is where a lower seeded player defeats a higher seeded player. So say if 63 defeated 2 or 125 defeated 4, that will be known as an upset. But if 4 defeats 125 or 2 defeats 63, that will be known as a regular victory or just a victory, right? But just continuing the story, and I hope you're doing it with yourself also on a nice clean large sheet of paper in big numbers. Build the story for yourself. In round 3, match 1 will be between player 1 and the last ranked player, that would be 32. And again now I notice the sum this time is coming out as 33. And then player number 2 will play against 31. And so on and so forth. The last match of this particular round will be match 16, right? Because I have only 32 players and 16 matches. In that, the 16th player will play the 17th player, right? And I can keep building the story. I don't need to do that if I understand it well. But I can keep building the story up to round 4, round 5, round 6 and up to the final round. And the same logic will go on. So I hope you do that for yourself. Not that you need to do it. You need to do it once so that you understand the logic at play. So that you can, when you look at the questions, you can use these pieces of data to figure out the logic. So I hope this much makes sense, and now we'll proceed towards the questions. So I've just kept one quick snapshot handy to go through the problems. I've not kept the whole table, just everything that reminds me of all the key pieces of data. Who is playing against whom? The sum is going to be 129, the sum is going to be 65, the sum is going to be 33, the sum of the seed numbers, and so on and so forth. And I'm also going up and seeing up to maybe round 5, round 6, round 7, end of the tournament, what is happening. I can zoom in here and work out the detail. In round 5, 1 will play against 8. I'm assuming player numbers 1 to 8 made it to round 5. So 1 will play against 8, 2 will play against 7, 3 will play against 6, and this time you notice that the sum for this story is 9, right? And there will be 4 matches in the story, so 4 will play against 5 and all 8 are taken care of. So once I understand the core logic, if I need a particular detail for a particular round, I can zoom in and figure things out quickly. In round 6, there will be only players from 1 to 4. So 1 will play against 4 and 2 will play against 3. Winners will be 1 and 2 and they will go to the final. So now I have a reasonably good hold of the basic structure of the set, of what the story or the tournament data might look like, and now I can look at the questions without building the whole table. Building my table as and when needed according to the question data. So let's try that out. So let's look at question number 4 now, the first question of the second part. It says if there are only 2 upsets, which is the lowest seeded player who can win the Grand Slam? There are only 2 upsets. That means there are only 2 cases where a lower seeded player has defeated the higher seeded player. If that is the case, which of the following can win the grand tournament or the tournament, right? So let me just go option by option and look at the specific story of that particular seed number. Let me start with 128, and now you will see why I was building these pairs and the story. And if I have done that, you will see I will go fairly quickly. So say my answer is 128. 128 will play against 1. If I want him to reach the end of the tournament, he must win against 1. That means this must be an upset. And once he upsets 1, he will take the place of 1 in the next round. That means instead of 1 here, you will have 128. So that's why I had the basic story, and whenever there is an upset, I can just replace that number with the other number, and that is not too much of a challenge for me. So if 128 has to win the tournament, one upset here. In the next match, say there is no other upset anywhere else, he will end up playing against 64. Even if not 64, remember 64 plays against 65. How did I come to this quickly? The sum is 129, right? So 64 plays against 65. 128 will have to play against 64 or 65. I don't need to go into this much detail, just observing it right now. And if I want him to proceed further, 128 is still lower than 64 and 65. That means even this will have to be an upset. And 128 will proceed to the next round once again in place of 1. So now 128 is here and he is now playing against 32, or 32 will play against 97 in round 1, right? I can figure this out quickly because I want the sum to be 129. So 32 will play against 97. 32 or 97 both are lower seeded than 128. So if 128 has to go to the next round, he will have to defeat either of them. This also will be an upset. But the question said there are only 2 upsets in the whole tournament. So if 128 has to win, he has to go through a lot of upsets. And remember, as I work with this question, the logic is getting even more clearer for me for the next following question. So all of these questions are top heavy. You have to put in a lot of work in the beginning, and then the solving part is very, very easy afterwards. So don't worry about the time taken. Understand the process very, very clearly. If 128 has to win, there are more than one upset. So 128 is definitely not going to work for me. In fact, even in this discussion, I considered 32 and 97. I did not have to do that because there were only 2 upsets. If I bring that 97 there, there will be even more upsets. But I hope the point was clear to you and how to approach this data. You build a story and see that if it says there are only 2 upsets, you can't proceed in the story anymore. Let me try with 64. In round 1, 64 will play against 65. 64 defeats 65 is not an upset, so no problem. 64 proceeds to the next round, and now he will play against seed number 1. That I've already figured out, right? This will have to be an upset if he wants to proceed to the next round. In next round, 1 would have played against 32, but now instead of 1, I will replace 64. 64 is still higher than 32. That means if 64 has to go to the next round, this also has to be an upset, this game. In the next round, round 4, 1 would have played against 16 instead of 1, because once 64 defeated 1, it took place of 1 in the rest of the story. Now 64 has to defeat 16. Again, 64 is lower than 16. That means this too also has to be an upset. So once again, if I follow the 64 story, upset, 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 it requires a minimum of 3 upset, and we have not even reached round 5, right? So that means even seed 64 cannot win the tournament if there are only 2 upsets allowed in the story. So this will also not work. And again, now I will go faster still. I will analyze the third option, which is 8. In round 1, 8 will play against 121 because the sum has to be 129. 8 is higher than 121, so this will not be considered an upset. In round 2, somewhere 8 will play against 57. 8 is higher than 57. 8 will defeat 57. This is not considered an upset, so 8 will make it to the next round. In that next round, I want the sum to be 33. That means 8 will play against 25. 8 is still higher than 25. That means even this will not be an upset, and 8 will go to the next round. For round 4, the sum of the seed numbers is 17, 1 to 16. I hope you have the data handy with yourself. So if I look at who will play against 8, 8 will play against 9. 8 is still higher than 9, can make it without an upset. So I have reached the quarter final. In quarter final, I have players number 1 to 8 and the sum is 9. That means 1 will have to play against 8 or 8 will have to play against 1. Now 8 is lower than 1. If 8 has to go beyond, he will have to cause an upset. And remember, in round 6 and round 7, you had from round 5 onwards, you had only players 1 to 8. 8 is the lowest player. That means everybody in the rest of the rounds is higher than him. If you want him to win the tournament, he will have to create an upset here as well as here. That means even for 8 to win, you'll have to create 3 upsets, which is not allowed. And therefore, your answer is option number D. And therefore, your answer is 4 or option D, right? So, not only the question, I hope you're getting the game. I figured out the structure. I observed some data which made my calculation slightly faster. Not that the calculation is big anyway, but just who is playing against whom, finding it out quickly and figuring out whether it's an upset or not, or thinking according to the question. So I hope you notice here, once you figure out the basic structure after spending some time, then dealing with this is slightly easier. Again, the size of the data or the size of the discussion might be getting too much for you, but remember there is a lot of explanation involved here and we're doing it for the first time. Sit with yourself and play this game till you figure this matching thing out and how to proceed in the table. I'm only looking at the entry of 8 with certain rules in mind, and my job is reasonably easy here, right? So this was the first question. And remember, I hope the basic data is always at the top of your mind in terms of who is playing with whom. And starting with 1 and matching it to the last number is enough, because then it's very easy for you to spot the in-between numbers who will play against whom, right? So question number 5 says, if there is only one upset and it happened in round 1, that means there is only one match where the lower seeded player has defeated the higher seeded player, and that too has happened in round 1 only. Who is the lowest seeded player who can win the Grand Slam? I just saw that 128 and 64 and 8 all require minimum of 3 upsets to reach the final or win the tournament. Now the question is saying there is only one upset, and that also in round 1. So I know for sure that 128, 64 and 8 are not going to win the tournament, and my answer is therefore D. I'm straight away jumping to the answer here. If you are beginning with this kind of a process, I would suggest play the game that I played earlier again. Say with 128, you want him to proceed to the tournament, you want him to win the tournament. How many games, who will he play against, will that be an upset or not? Play that game and work it out. You will see that is not going to happen. And we have already worked out this particular data earlier, right? So this is not too much of a challenge for me. So as I proceed in the story, as I have worked out the logic, I will see the questions will take lesser and lesser time, because now I know what to do, hopefully, right? Next question now, and again interesting and slightly more complex than earlier, because it says now if all the odd numbered matches, remember this, we are only talking about match 1 here for any of the rounds. Match 2, match 3. I can build the story quickly now. Match 2 will be between 2 and 127. If I keep building the story, match 63, because I'm thinking of odd number matches, will be between 63 and 66, right? So I can build this story. Now he's saying all the odd number matches, that means match 1, match 3, match 5, match 7, match 63, all of these will be all of these will cause upsets. Now the question is, who will win the Grand Slam? Okay, so that means if I look at round 1, just play with the story. In round 1, 128 will win. 128 will win and will go to round 2 in place of 1. So 1 I can now replace with 128. In fact, in the whole story now. So 1 will become 128, 1 will become 128, 1 will become 128. If he continues winning instead of 1, right? I actually jumped the gun. He needs to win here to move to this round. But remember, the question said all the odd number matches are going to be upsets. That means the lower seeded player will win. In this case, 128 is the lower seeded player, so he will win. he will go in place of 1 into the round 3, play against 132. Odd number match, 128 is again the lower seeded, so he will win again, move to the next round. Match is odd numbered again, so he will win again. Odd numbered match, he will win again, he's a lower seeded. Odd number match, he will win again. Odd number match, he will win again. So even if I don't try the rest of the questions, and if I observe this logic, I know 128 will win, because the question says if all the odd number matches in each round, in every round, all the odd matches caused an upset, and therefore 128 will definitely win the tournament, as I just saw. I can try out other options also just for fun. Say 64, I'm thinking of 64 will make it or not. So remember, 64 is in, so match number 64 will be played between player number 64 and player number 65. But match number 64 is not an odd number match, so I don't know the outcome of this. But let's assume that 64 wins anyway. It's not an upset, but 64 wins and makes it to the next round. 64 was supposed to play against 1, but instead of 1, remember, because match 1 was an upset, instead of 1, I will have an 128 here. This is an odd number match. This is the first match of round 2. In the odd number match in any round, the lower seeded player wins. So this 128 will win again, and 64 is out of the story. So you can try out the same thing with the rest of the options, or you can observe that 128 has straight away gone to the final, and it being the odd match has won the tournament, right? So question number 7 now, and by now the game should be very familiar to you. You're just using that basic data only to create stories and see who is going to proceed and who is he going to play against, and that's about it. So question number 7 says the lowest seeded player who can win the tournament without itself causing an upset is. That means the question is saying that the player himself should not cause an upset. Other people all around him can cause an upset, but he himself should not cause an upset. What is the lowest seeded player that can win the tournament? So let's see. And again, now I know the way to approach is by using the options and trying out the factors there. So it says 64. So 64 will play against 65. The sum has to be 129. 64 playing against 65 is not an upset, it's just a regular victory. And 64 goes to round 2 and plays against round 1. If 64 had to defeat 1, that would be considered an upset. But what if 128 defeats 1 and 64 instead of 1 plays 128? 64 is higher than 128, so this will not be an upset. It is possible for 64 to defeat 128, and he has right now so far not caused any upsets. Now 64 has defeated 128 who was in place of 1. That means 64 will take the place of 1 and fight against 32. If 64 defeats 32, that will be an upset because 32 is higher seeded than 64. But let me go for the analysis of 32. 32 will play against 97. What if 97 defeats 32, defeats whoever in the next round and comes in place of 32? So now 64 is higher than 97 and he can win and go ahead and without causing an upset because he was higher seeded anyway. Once again, remember 64 is now replacing or working in place of 1. So instead of 1, I will say 64 has come here. Let me think of 16 now. 16 will play against 113. Let me just think of 16 in the second round also, though it's not needed, but in case it's bothering you that how am I directly taking 113 here, let's slow down and observe that. In the second round, 16 would have played against whom? The sum for the second round is 65. 1 plays against 64 and the sum becomes 65. 16 will play against 49 for the sum to be 65, right? So say 113 defeated 16. So instead of 16 you will have 113. And say now 113 defeated 49. And now say 113 defeated 49. Essentially 113 has replaced 16. So instead of 16 I can put a 113 there because he can keep upsetting and end up meeting 64 in round 4. Now 64 is higher seeded than 113. He can proceed to the next round without causing an upset so far. Again 64 is operating in place of 1. So instead of 1 I will put a 64 here. And let me think about 8 now. Somewhere in the story, don't worry about the order here, 8 will play against 121. So if 121 defeats 8 and keeps coming instead of 8, he keeps replacing 8 everywhere, 64 will play against 121. 64 is higher than 121, so not an upset, and 64 will move to the next round. In place of 1, I have 64. 4, same story. 4 will play against 125. 125 can defeat 4 and end up at the place of 4. In case this last step is confusing to you, go step by step, round by round. So now 64 is higher than 125. Even if 64 defeats 125, it's not an upset, and 64 has made it to the final round, and 64 will play against 2. But instead of 2, 2 will play against 127. What if 127 defeats 2 and everybody else who follows and ends up in place of 2? Because that's what you need to notice that is happening. Once a lower seeded player defeats a higher seeded player, he takes his place in the story. So instead of 2, if 127 defeated 2 right here, instead of 2, I will have 127 in the story. And once again, 64 is higher than 127. This is the last match of the tournament. Even if 64 wins the game, he has made it to the end of the tournament without himself causing an upset. So, and we have the answer. My answer is 64. I don't need to try out the rest of the options anymore. So again, my basic data is there, and this time my question says, which of the following can the 100th seeded player possibly meet in the third round? So I want the 100th seeded player to be in the third round, and my question is, which of the following can he meet in that third round? So let me start working with the story. The 100th seeded player will play against the 29 seeded player in round 1. Because the sum should be 129. So if I am saying the 100 seed, he must play against the 29 seed. In round 1, normally 29 will make it across, and 29, the sum should be 65, right? So 29 will play against 36. 29 normally would have also made it to round 3, and 29 would, the sum is 33, would play against seed number 4, right? So if I replace 29, because 100 wins in place of 29, and he will replace 29 in the story. So instead of 29, I will have 100 playing against 36. Instead of 29, I will have 100 playing against 4. Let's say assuming 100 keeps going, right? Keeps winning and keeps going ahead. So he has replaced 29. So he is facing 4 in the story. I look at the options, 4 is not there at all. So now what do I do? Let me focus on 4 now. Let me focus on 4 in the first round. 4 will play against 125. So 4 was not there in any of my options. I'm saying, okay, maybe 4 is ruled out. 125 can defeat 4 and take his place. So let's see the 4 story in round 2. In round 2, 4 will play against 61 because I want the sum to be 65. Now it is possible that 125 defeats 4 and replaces 4, plays against 61, right? Let me also follow the 4 story, and in fact I've got the answer, because if I look at 125 in place of 4, 125 can end up here, and therefore seed 100 can meet seed 125 in round 3, and the question only said which of the following can the 100 seeded player meet. 125 is definitely possible. But to even better understand this question, maybe start with one of the options which is not right. So say maybe 93. So 93 in the story, I want the sum to be 129. So 93 will play against seed 36. Seed 36 in round 2 will play against 29. But remember, 29 was already replaced by 100 because you want 100 to make it to round 3. So when you say 36 will play against 29, you are actually saying 100 will play against 29. So when you say 93 will replace 36 and make in place of 36, 93 will play against 100 in round 2, not in round 3. So I hope this made sense, and it's always the same game. And if you notice the underlying logic, it is based on finding the sum, finding who will play against whom, and perhaps not getting lost in the data, because initially it will feel like there is a lot of data. But notice what am I doing? I'm just keeping the basic rule in play and then focusing on very specific pieces of data. And of course, concentration, stamina, persistence, confidence, all of that will obviously play out in the story. So this was question number 8 and my answer is B. Answer is 125. I think now we are done with the logic. You will see the same idea repeating over and over again. The challenge part is gone already, hopefully. What is the minimum number of upsets that have to be caused such that the 65th seeded player wins the Grand Slam? Let's focus on the 65th seeded player. He will play against number 64 because I want the sum to be 129. So if he wants to win the tournament, he has to defeat a player who's higher than him. So this will definitely be an upset. So when 65 defeats 64, he will take the place of 64. The place of 64 is against player number 1. So instead of 64, I'll put a 65 here. Now, say if there is no upset here and 1 comes here, this will also have to be an upset. But if you think instead of 1, maybe 128 comes here, and then it will not be an upset because 65 is higher than 128. Remember that upset would have happened here. So the number of upsets is not changing, it's still the same. Somewhere or the other there has to be an upset for this to happen, right? So far 65 has made it to round 2. He's playing against playing against seed 1. If he wants to proceed further, in place of 1, he has to defeat 1, so an upset here. And he goes in place of 1 and plays against 32. If instead of 32 you wanted a lower seed player, there would have been another upset earlier. So I don't have to worry about that anymore. To defeat for 65 to defeat 32, this will also be an upset. And instead of 1, I will have 65 here. 65 to defeat 16 will also be an upset. 65 to defeat 8 will also be an upset. 65 to defeat 4 will also be an upset. And 65 to defeat 2 will also be an upset. So if you want 65 to win the game, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That means an upset in every round will be needed. I've gone the long way about it. Maybe you can find a faster, more verbalized, logical shortcut. Because if 65 goes to the next round, everybody is higher than him all the time. So every match he has to cause an upset for him to win. In fact, that story will apply for anybody lower than 65 if you observe it further. But for our purposes, this basic analysis is also enough. So for the 65th seed player, he will require 7 upsets in the whole tournament to make it to the top. Same data, same story, should be very easy by now. If there are no upsets up to and including round 4, there are no upsets. That means when I'm thinking of round 5, player number 1 to 8, seed number 1 to 8 would have made it to round 5. Because no upsets have happened, that means the higher seeded player will keep defeating the lower seeded player, as in the original story I constructed. And I know in that story, in round 5, at the beginning of round 5, player number 1 to 8 are there. That means I'm not interested in the rest of the story. So let me just zoom into the round 5, round 6 and round 7 part of the story. Player number 1 to 8 have made it to the story. Player number 1 to 8 have made it to round 5. And it says match 1 and 4 of round 5 result in upset. So let me go through the match configuration. Match 1 will be between 1 and 8. Match 2 will be between 2 and 7. Match 3 will be between 3 and 6. Match 4 will be between 4 and 5. And you're done, right? So it says match 1 and match 4 were upsets. That means 8 will win, 1 will be defeated. And in match 4, 5 will win, 4 will be defeated. If I build the story, 1 would have played against 4. 2 would have played against 3. So 1 has been defeated, 8 was supposed to play against 4, but 4 also has been defeated, so 5 will come in place of 4. So 8 is going to play 5 in round 6. So it says match 1 and match 4 of round 5 results in upsets. And the question is, then the final would be played. This is the final, would be played between players of the seed numbers. Remember, he said these are the only 2 upsets. That means no more upsets. That means the higher seeded player or the better player will win. That means between 2 and 3, 2 will win. So 2 will make it to the final. And between 8 and 5, 5 being the better player will make it to the final. So 5 and 2 will meet in the final. So my answer will be option B, 5 and 2. And finally, the last question of the story. It says if the top 8 seeded players reach the quarterfinals, that means I'm thinking of round 5 onwards. Top 8 seeded, that means 1 to 8 made it to round 5. Or I already worked on that story. 1 will play against 8, 2 will play against 7, 3 will play against 6, and 4 will play against 5. And if I continue this story in round 6, normally if there were no upsets, 1 will play against 4 and 2 will play against 3. And then finally, in the final, 1 will play against 2. So that's what would have happened normally. Now the question is, this is what has happened. Which of the following players would definitely not compete in the finals? That means they can never end up in the finals even if there is an upset, right? So first option is 1 and 6. Let me start thinking about that. I need a starting point. 1 and 6, that means 1 has made it to the final, no problem. Say 6 defeats 3 and goes in place of 3. So instead of 3, I will have a 6 here. And 6 can defeat 2 and can make it to the place of 2, right? So can 1 and 6 be in the finals? Yes, they can be in the finals, right? So forget this story, return to your standard data once again. And now you know how to play with the question. The first option is gone. If I look at option B, it says 2 and 3. If I notice 2 and 3 are meeting in the semi-final. So they can, if they are meeting in the semi-final. They can definitely not meet in the finals. And I'm done. I can mark this as an answer and move on. I recommend that you try out the rest of the options also and play with this story till you are comfortable with it. Because it's a difficult set for most people. You need to crack open at least one difficult set for yourself to understand that yes, these sets are doable. And they don't require any big magic or such, just step by step, logical, systematic thinking. In fact, if you notice, if you just figure out that the sum of the seeds is 129 or 65 or whatever, 70% of your job was done. After that, it was just a lot of painstaking, deliberate work. You find out, you match, you cross match, etc. None of it requiring any high funda intelligence as such. A lot of detailed work, patience is required, that's all.